Frustration is an emotion we feel when our students give up too easily. You know what I'm talking about. You have done a lesson and you felt like you helped here and you helped here and you gave explanations here. You connected these ideas and then it was time to work. It's time to attempt to apply some of the learning. Some of your students shut down and quit. You know that you have experienced this. I have experienced this, and it is frustrating as a teacher to understand why our students are quitting. And it's been our goal here at Make Math Moments to build resilient problem solvers. Today in this video, I have 3 tips for you to learn how to build resilient problem solvers so that students won't quit. Stick around. Hey there, Math Mo Makers. John here from Make Math Moments. And if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here, please hit the bell, hit the subscribe button so that you get notified when we have videos come out. We are putting them out weekly, so don't miss out on the tips and resources that we are sharing on a regular basis. So in this video, we're talking about students who are giving up too easily. And in most of the time, when we think about what we want from our students, when we think big picture, when our students walk out of our math classes, ultimately, most teachers, and myself included, want our students to become better problem solvers. I think we can agree that we want our students to enjoy mathematics, but ultimately, I want better problem solvers. And it's hard to see that when students give up on the actual problem solving portions of our math class. And in this video, I want to share with you 3 tips, but the 3 tips kind of come from a place when we think about problem solving in general. My old self would have, thought about a particular topic or a particular unit. We would have, front loaded. We would have taught lesson, and then we would have like problem solving or application part. When we think about students who are getting into that, we've front loaded all this material and then we've asked them to solve a particular problem, which gets tougher. And it didn't look like what we had done in the past. And there's that shutdown. It's like, you didn't show me how to do that. So in this video, we're actually going to turn things around and I'm going to show you 3 tips to do that. 3 tips to help prevent that shutdown. Here are those 3 tips. I'm going to give it to you right now. We're going to walk through each 3. Here are those 3 tips. I'm going to give them to you all up front right here, but then we're going to walk through each of the 3 and show some quick examples of what you can be doing to help prevent shutdown from your students and get those resilient problem solvers we're all after. First thing is to promote a productive struggle routinely. I want to talk about this and talk about the hero's journey model math class. We have shared that in a previous video. I do want to recap that here. It is so important to prevent those shutdowns. Number 2 is to create an environment where wrong answers are low risk. We're going to talk about what could we do in our classroom. What are the structures of our classroom set up, or how they are set up to allow students to feel feel less pressure on attempting problems, because that's so important to get better problem solvers. Is we have to feel that being wrong is okay, because then we'll take more risks. We're going to talk about that risk. Number 3 here is to prove to your students that you value that resiliency, you value that growth, because a lot of times we might say we do these things, but do we show them we actually value those things? So the first one about promoting a productive struggle routinely, I want to talk about this idea about this unit approach where we teach a problem or we teach skills and then we ask them to solve problems. That's was my style for a long time until I started switching and teaching through problem-based lessons. But we always wanted those kids to be better problem solvers. But did we ever stop to think, when did we show them how to become better problem solvers? Or when did we give them an opportunity to solve unfamiliar problems? Because that's what we were asking them to do on a regular basis. And when I thought back to the way I taught, I wasn't doing that. I was still telling them or showing them or walking through with them how to solve problems by saying, look, okay, this type of problem, we're going to pull this, we're going to pull this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And I still front loaded and still showed them how to solve those types of problems and then asked them to reproduce. And then when a problem was different, they were like, well, you didn't show me how to do this one. And they'd be right. I didn't show them how to do that. And so what we have done differently when we teach through problem-based lessons is we always start with unfamiliar problems, because we know if you want students to become better problem solvers, you're going to have to put them in unfamiliar situations, ask them to work through those problems, support them along the way so that they can feel that success, small successes, and then that confidence of solving unfamiliar problems will grow. So this can be best explained and demonstrated through something that we have shared in the past called the hero's journey. And the hero's journey as a model of math class. So the hero's journey is actually a story-based idea about all of our favorite characters from TV, movie shows, books. They all follow the same story arc, where in the beginning, you're introduced to the character's world. Crisis happens, which is where they've gone through some struggle, and then they have learned something about themselves. The climax of the movie or the show or the story, the hero is experiencing the fight, and then all of a sudden the tension is released of the story and also the character and also the reader or the audience, and the character or the hero returns home. Now, this is the hero's journey, but we also recognize this as a learner's journey. This is the process we go through when we learn things of value. We go through this crisis mode where we struggle with things, and it's through the struggle that we attach value to that learning. And if you think of anything that you valued, that you learned, it's because you went through this struggle and you had a coach along the way. You had a guide along the way. All heroes in every single movie, when it follows this arc, meets a guide that shows them the way. And that part is the really important part, so that the hero feels supported enough to keep moving along. And when you think of math class, as is now, it kind of looks like this, where the way I taught math for a long time is that the tension in math class will rise quickly and then falls. And that's because we're telling them how to solve the problems all the time. And then the tension is very high when they don't know how to solve the problem. But then when you tell them how to solve the problem, that tension falls away. And that's us rushing to the algorithm. What we want to do now is we want to flip that model of math class over to this hero's journey model, which allows students to stay more curious, allows them to go through this productive struggle, to attach value to learning. And that's where we come in and provide support. We have to allow students to solve problems that are unfamiliar on their own first, and then support and connect that learning and consolidate that learning at the end. It has this model. We also call this the real flip class. We take the old model of math class and we flip it into the hero's journey model of math class. I want to show you some resources that you can use to help do this in your class. If you've been following us for a while, you know that we create problem-based lessons that you can use in your classroom every day. Here on makemathmoments.com/tasks, these are our problem-based units and lessons, fully open to you to access from the web. So you can search by topic, but every single one of these was built with this hero's journey model in mind. You can pick any topic you like here. We've got topics ranging from low elementary grades into high school. I'll just pick one here that last week in my video I talked about percent, and this particular one, voting booth, is all about percent. And when you basically ask how many students, but we use percent to draw that out. And you can run this from the web right here, but the important pieces to help you see how you can craft a productive struggle is through the teacher guide right here. And it gives you some prompts that you can use. You can say how many people voted. There is a little video to play to get the curiosity sparked. I won't play that here. You can run through that yourself. But I just wanted to show you there is support here to get students to solve problems, and you can connect them. And so through our teacher guide, you can open up the student approaches. So what kids might do. We show you how to connect and what that lesson might look like right here. When you open these tabs up, they walk you through how to take what students have done and tie it to the learning goal of that particular lesson. So all of those downloads are available for people who have joined the Make Math Moments, which is free for 30 days. So that all of these lessons here are created in order for you to craft that productive struggle for your students, which will help avoid those shutdowns. Because if the more you do this on a regular basis, then the more confidence that will in your students will grow. So that's why we opt for promoting productive struggle routinely. You can't do this on a one-time off. You have to do it on a regular basis. They have to feel like I am continually solving unfamiliar problems. That's how we're going to build resilient problem solvers. It's not going to come overnight. It's going to come in small steps. Tip number two is to create an environment where wrong answers are low risk. And if you are a fan of Peter Little's Thinking Classroom book and what he's been talking about here, so are we. How do you create an environment where the answers are low risk is to ask students to use these problems that we've talked about and send them to the wall space like Peter suggests. Get them up vertical. Have them working through problems. Have the whiteboard available so that it's easy to erase. That's a low risk move right there. Support students by saying, you know what, it's okay that we've tried this and we try again. That's the beauty of the whiteboard, is that we can continually try and retry. We make it low risk for students to jump into these types of problems. And it's those types of problems, like all these problems have been created or through with the idea with matching up principles to actions from NCTM. If you think about how do we get kids to pose purposeful questions, they're doing that on their own when they're at the boards. We're building fluency through conceptual understanding when we ask them to solve problems and we connect. We're using evidence of student learning when we allow them to see that learning around the room. It is some great stuff. So tip number 2 here is to create that environment where wrong answers are low risk. Best way to do that is at the boards with whiteboards in groups. Allow kids to share thinking back and forth at a low risk pace. That will help with building resiliency. Third and final tip in this video is to prove to your students you value resiliency. Yes, you have to prove it because we can say all we want that we do value these things, but oftentimes we will tell kids to work at the boards. We're going to tell them that we value their growth and that they can solve problems on a regular basis, and then we test them and say, you know what, the resiliency, that growth isn't that important, because when I mark your test in September, and then that test mark sticks with that student all through that course. We're saying, look, we don't value your growth and your resiliency because it happened back then. Oh, wait, you may have acquired new learning along the way. That's that resiliency part. You stuck with it. You've got new learning, but we're not gonna count that. That part I have a struggle with. And as soon as students start to pick up that you value the test results and you value handing in the homework only and not their growth, and value that resiliency, then they will navigate to doing only what you value. So how we here at Make Math Moments value this resiliency and value growth is that we think about growth like assessment for growth. We want our students to continually show learning on an ongoing basis. We tell them everything is in flux. Everything is modifiable. You had some old learning before. You want, all of a sudden, you've got new learning and you want to prove it to us. Awesome. We will do that. We do that through this tool right now called Fresh Grade. We set up certain assessment days for students to do that. We assess students on a regular basis because everything counts. Everything should count towards that student's assessment of particular learning goals. That's an important part. And if you want to learn more about how we're assessing in math class, we built a full course on assessment for growth. And you can access that course. Module 1 is completely open, and the link is below this video, or you can head on over to makemathmoments.com/AFG. That's for assessment for growth. And you can see how we have structured our assessment practices in our class to promote growth, which tells kids we value that, and we're showing them that we value that. We're giving them credit for that growth. So you're seeing right here in the background the course it's set up. It is a 5-module course. Module 1, completely wide open, called Clearing the Path for Assessment for Growth. Lessons here are why we need to change our assessment practices, what is the true purpose of assessment. We got some mindset, we got psychological safety and assessment, and then there is the bonus lesson here that you are welcome to consume for your learning purposes. You want to go deeper than that? We've got a module that's all about formative assessment and the practices you need to stop doing and start doing. We've got module 3, which is all about standards-based grading, why that's important, how do we use portfolios in math class. And module 4 is about how do I build this into my unit plans, daily plans. And then the last module here is about helping key stakeholders like parents and administrators understand what assessment changes we have made. So we've got 3 tips on how to build more resiliency into your regular routine so that students don't quit when the problems come their way. 1 is to promote productive struggle routinely every single day. 2 is to create an environment where risk-taking is low, thinking classroom. Number 3 is prove to your students that you value resiliency. Think about how you're assessing those students and what they think you value and what you truly value. Make them match. Hey, I hope you start and continue to build some resiliency in your students. Check the links out below this if you want to deeper dive in any of these ideas, or reach out to us and we can help you through that as well. That's our job. That's what we want to do, is we want to help you build resiliency in your class. So I'll see you next week. Take care.